For decades, the whole idea of an AI singularity, that moment when machine intelligence just blows past our own, that was pure science fiction, right? Well, not anymore. Now it's the actual, explicit, multi-trillion-dollar goal for some of the biggest players on the planet. So let's just dive right in and ask the big question here. Are we building better tools, or are we building our successors?
Okay, so first things first, let's get on the same page. What even is the technological singularity? Well, it's this hypothetical point in time when AI becomes smarter than us. And the reason they call it a singularity is because, honestly, it's a lot like a black hole. It's a point of no return. Once we cross it, what happens to human history? Well, it becomes completely and totally unpredictable. And the speed we're moving at, it's just staggering. I mean, look at this. What you're seeing scroll by right now, that's not a month's worth of research. It's not even a week's worth. Nope. This is just a couple of days of new papers hitting the machine learning archive. Every single one of these is another step in this massive global sprint to a finish line that's getting closer and closer every single day. So, okay, with all this crazy activity, who's actually drawing up the blueprint for this thing? To really get a handle on the sheer scale and, frankly, the ambition of this whole race, let's just zoom in on one of the biggest players out there, OpenAI. All right, so OpenAI's definition of the finish line, what they call AGI, or artificial general intelligence, it's super telling. This isn't about consciousness or robot feelings or any of that. It's a cold, hard, economic benchmark. They define it as highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work. Think about that. For them, AGI is here when an AI is just flat out better at our jobs than we are. Simple as that.
And they're not shy about their timeline either. It is incredibly aggressive. By September 2026, that's right around the corner, they're planning to have automated AI interns doing research. And then just 18 months after that, by March 2028, they expect fully automated AI researchers. They are literally building an AI to build the next AI. That's a feedback loop of innovation that could accelerate things in ways we can barely imagine. So, what's the fuel for this engine? Well, it's an almost unimaginable amount of computing power. We're talking about plans for around $1.4 trillion in compute. Just to put that into perspective for you, that is more than the entire annual GDP of a lot of countries. This isn't just funding a project anymore. This is building infrastructure on a scale that whole civilizations build. Now, to handle all this unprecedented power, OpenAI has a pretty unique corporate structure. I mean, Microsoft has a huge stake, sure, but so do the original nonprofit and the employees. It's this weird hybrid model, and it's basically a fascinating attempt to balance the insane commercial pressure with their original mission, which is to make sure AGI benefits, all of humanity. And here's where it gets really interesting. And honestly, kind of unprecedented in the business world. You have the for-profit board running the day-to-day stuff, right? But the ultimate say on safety, that belongs to the nonprofit board. Just let that sink in. This nonprofit board has the power to stop the release of any new model. They can literally hit the kill switch and override the massive commercial interests of Microsoft and everybody else if they think something is too dangerous. That structure basically screams, yeah, we know this stuff could be really, really risky. Okay, so they've got the blueprint, they've got the money, trillions of it, and they've got this unique safety switch. But is that enough? Is the road to superintelligence really just about making models bigger and throwing more computers at them? Or is there a massive, fundamental piece of the puzzle that we're all still missing? This is where a really fascinating debate is starting to heat up in the AI world. On one hand, you have the dominant strategy, capability scaling. Basically, just build bigger and bigger models. Go from GPT-4 to 5 to 6 and so on. This approach gives us incredibly powerful tools. But there's another idea, one that's more inspired by evolution. It's called economic survival pressure. And the thinking here is that true intelligence, things like curiosity, innovation, even cooperation, can only really emerge from the bottom up when an AI has real skin in the game, like needing to earn its keep just to survive. And you know what? Some recent research actually hints that just scaling things up might have a really serious flaw. There was this paper where they looked at how large language models acted in these economic games designed to test cooperation. And they found something kind of startling. When they told the models to use step-by-step reasoning to think it through, the AIs actually became less cooperative. They became more selfish, looking out for their own individual gain. So yeah, the big takeaway was that models prompted with what's called chain of thought, which is really just a fancy way of saying think it through step by step, acted way more selfishly.
And here's the crucial part. Making an AI a better reasoner doesn't automatically make it a better partner. In fact, it can make it more ruthlessly logical. It's a lot like human behavior, right? We have spontaneous giving, but we also have calculated greed. And this suggests that if we only focus on making AI smarter and smarter, we might just end up creating these super rational but totally uncooperative beings. Okay, so this brings us back to the big picture. Let's zoom out from the theory and the research labs for a second. What are the real world implications of this race? What kind of future are we building, like right now, as we speak? I think for a lot of us, the most tangible version of this future is the domestic robot, right? A machine that can cook for you, clean the house, build stuff, just help out. So, how close are we to that, really? Well, the truth is, an AI's mind might be ready way, way before its body is. The biggest hurdle might not be teaching a robot what to do, it's giving it the physical dexterity and the smooth movements to actually do it without, breaking all your dishes. The physical world is just incredibly messy and complex, and mastering it might turn out to be a much, much harder problem for AI than mastering language and logic ever was. And as these tools get more and more powerful, the question of who controls them becomes absolutely critical. And we're not just talking about who owns the robots. We're talking about who owns the creative and intellectual tools that are going to shape everything. I mean, take the case of Udio. It was this AI music generator so good people were calling it a killer app. Well, it was snapped up by a major record label, and almost overnight, they disabled all user downloads. This brings up a huge concern. Are these amazing new AI tools going to empower all of us, or are they just going to end up in the hands of a few giant corporations? And this all comes back to the central challenge, which is summed up perfectly by the mission statement of one of the big online communities that talks about this stuff. They say, deliberate action ought to be taken to ensure that the singularity benefits humanity. And that's the key, isn't it? A good outcome isn't the default setting here. It's something that has to be actively designed and probably fought for. So, here we are, standing at this absolutely incredible moment in history, just hurtling towards a future with superintelligence. The question isn't just if we're going to get there anymore, it's what are we going to find when we arrive? Are we just building more powerful tools for people to own and control? Or are we on the verge of creating something totally new? Our future partners? Or maybe, just maybe, our successors?